Hello everyone and welcome to our lesson today on prepositions. I hope you all had a nice weekend. Today I would just like to start off with a question today. So we're going to try and keep things different. I would like to ask you about your knowledge on prepositions. So before I start, I would just like to clarify and say that we are a company based in Paris. Our aim and our goal is to help you speak English fluently. So we've prepared these half-an-hour lessons on YouTube daily to try and help you as best as we can. If you're new to our videos, please do subscribe. And it's a very friendly environment. We love to have people talking on the group. If you have any questions about the lesson or you'd like to ask something more personally, please do ask. Hello to everyone on the group. It's very kind of you all to join, and I hope I can help you today. So, in order to explain the lesson more clearly, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about prepositions. These are words we use to describe the location of something. So, for example, these headphones are on my head. Okay, this mirror is behind me. So, what I would like to ask you, as I mentioned before, we have no facts today. Can you tell me what is on your table right now? For those of you who are watching in the future and you're not able to access the chat, I will try and read through some of the answers so you can understand the context of the lesson. Thank you again for those of you who are here. It's lovely that you've joined today. So we have a question already. Of course, Sam, thank you for asking. So Sam has a question about the preposition. Why do we say in the car but on the bus? That's a fantastic question, Sam. It's a difficult one to start the day. I think it's just a preposition we use for that particular transport. We say I'm in the plane, I'm in the car. We say I'm on my bike. I think you're exactly right. There is a confusion because it's the same action and it's the same position. You're inside the vehicle. But I think for these examples, it's just specific for that mode of transport. Okay, Sam? So I hope that answers the question, and it was a fantastic question. So Elodie has a computer on her table. Fantastic, Elodie. I think everyone has a computer if they're watching this video right now. What else do we have? Do we have any pens? Okay, I'm going to show you in a second some things on my computer. And the aim of the lesson today, or this first question, is to try and help you explain positions of objects. So hello to those of you who are just joining. Let's see what else everyone has on their table. A computer, a cup of tea, a glass of water. It's very important to stay hydrated, especially in the sunny weather. Okay, I have one more question to start the lesson. What can you carry in your hands? Can you carry or hold in your hands? So I just wanted to show that the preposition for holding something or carrying is in. The pen is in my hand. The pen is on the table. I just put it down on my table. So what else, just very quickly, can you hold in your hand? I understand it's very simple, but I just want to get across an easy starting point. So fantastic, Sam, you are holding a pen. Hello, Anya, it's nice to have you here. My phone, fantastic, of course. In order to operate our phones, it's much easier if we have it in our hands. Fantastic. A chocolate bar, that's a fantastic answer. I always have a chocolate bar in my hand. So thank you very much for your suggestions. Let's get started on the lesson of prepositions. I'm going to ask for your help, and I've set up some items on my desk. So perhaps if I move this way, you can see me more clearly. Here is my book. Okay, I'm going to put my book on the table. Okay, now I've set up some items here to try and explain different prepositions. I want to try and remove some to make it clearer. I do apologize. So, can we think of a preposition in relation to my book? So, I am next to my book. Where is my cup of water in relation to my book? So, the cup of water is the preposition, the book. To make this easier, I'll help you write the sentence. The cup is, what's the preposition? The book. So I'll wait for some answers, but essentially we're going to go through the objects on my very messy table, and we're going to discuss the different kind of objects and how we can describe where they are. For those of you who are watching this and you're thinking, I know my prepositions, this is really easy, Sam. We have some more advanced questions later on. So please do stick around and I'm sure you will learn something new. So let's have a look at some of the answers. So Afaf has written the cup is behind the book. Mark thinks it's next to. We have the cup of water is in front of your book. Okay, so we have some different answers. I would like to go and point out that the correct answer is behind. So if you notice here, if I move this, the book is here. And from where you're looking at the book, the cup is behind it. The book is in front of the cup, but the cup is behind the book. Okay, so if there's any questions, please do write it on the chat. Now, my next question is, where is the pen again in relation to the book? So, the pen is what? The book. Prepositions, I will quickly say, are really important. Even in our normal sentences, we use them very regularly. Later on in the lesson, I'm going to try and describe what kind of sentences we use prepositions in. But before we go into these more detailed examples, it will be really nice to have everyone understanding the different kinds of prepositions and how we use them. So if I have a look at some of the answers that we have, fantastic. So a lot of you have written under the book. Fantastic. I think everyone agrees, and you're all correct. The pen is underneath the book. Okay, how about the plant? Okay, in relation to the book, what could we describe the position of this plant as? This unhealthy plant. So where is this plant in relation to the book? Okay, we've got two more. So please, for those of you who already understand the grammar, we will go into something more detailed later on. So fantastic, we're getting some really interesting answers. We have next to, in front of. I'll just wait for a couple more suggestions. Okay, so we have a mixture of different answers. Okay, so prepositions are very specific and we try to explain with as much accuracy and detail as possible when trying to show and explain where items are. So if I go scroll back up to the first answer, we have a variety of different answers here. We have next to and in front of. I think I see some new prepositions here. We see on the top of. This would be the same as on. In front of the book. Okay. Sam has made a very interesting point in regards to my view, but we're doing these exercises in regards to the view you have. So, for my view, the plant is behind the book. From your view, looking from the direction of the camera, the plant is next to the book. Okay? So, I think we've covered some basic prepositions here. Let me move back. Okay, let me talk about some new prepositions now. So, we've talked about on, when something is on top of another. We've talked about under, next to, and we talked about behind. So, we also have in front, which we talked about. So in front, perhaps it might be easier if I show you again. I apologize for the moving around. If we make this really easy with two objects, in front, the pen here is in front of the cup, okay? The pen from your view is in front of the cup. Another one that I'd like to talk about is between. So between is when we have two objects and there is something in the middle. It might be very helpful or useful if you're trying to describe the location of a shop, perhaps. Someone could ask me, where is the nearest Monoprix? I could say it is between Auchan and it's and another a supermarket, another supermarket. The pen is between the cup and the book. Okay, I hope that's clear for everyone. So, what I'd like you all to do now at home, okay, I'm assuming you're all sat down and around your room you have different objects. Could you please describe to me the location of objects in your room so you can practice using these prepositions? For example, I am sitting next to my glass of water. I am sat on a chair. Could you all write me a sentence of items in your room to help me understand where these items are? So, for those of you who have just joined, we're talking about prepositions today and explaining in detail where we can find different objects. So Liliana, yes, I am sat on my chair. I could also say I am sitting. My cat is under the table next to my feet. Fantastic. No, man. So we've used next to there, next to my feet, on the floor, walking across the room, perhaps. My computer is between my phone and my cup of tea. Fantastic, Aline. So a very good use of between there. So my PC mouse is next to my keyboard. Fantastic, Sam. I'm sitting in front of my computer. Fantastic. That's really good, Monique. I'm in front of my screen. So Jamel, you've written a fantastic sentence. I am behind my computer. But normally, if we're doing work on our laptops, on our screens, we describe that as being in front of our computers because we're seeing the screen and the keyboard of the computer. But thank you very much for your contribution. Elsie has written, I'm sitting in front of my table, and on your table there are many things. My daughter is in front of me. I am on the sofa. Fantastic. I think you all have a fantastic knowledge of these prepositions. So let's move on. There are many prepositions, and we're going to do our best to cover as many as we can today. What I would like to do now is just copy a sentence and to try and encourage you to use what we've learned and some of the prepositions that we've covered. For example, I'm going to write a sentence. What I would like you to do is think of a preposition we could use to make this sentence complete. So in the chat here, I have written, the girl jumped the gate. Okay, so we need a preposition to describe the activity which this girl has just done. So what preposition could we use? I don't think we've covered this one today. I think I might have said it earlier, but let's have a look at some of the suggestions. And remember, we can use different prepositions, so there's not just one answer. I'll wait for some more answers. We have on, the girl jumped on the gate. So if a girl jumps on the gate, it means that she jumps onto it and she doesn't go through it. She is static on the gate. She's jumping on top of it. So if this, I apologize if my explanation is difficult. So if this is the gate, and for those of you who are unaware what a gate is, it's a door which we normally use to access our garden or a different space. So a gate, if we imagine this as a door, and if we imagine this is the girl, if the girl jumps on the gate, it means she jumps on top and then she stays here. Veronique, so that's correct to say the girl jumps on the gate. Mark has written onto the gate. That means the same thing. The girl has jumped onto the gate, and again, she's static. She's jumped to the top position of the gate. Veronique has written through the gate. When we talk about an object passing through, it means to go from one side to the other. For example, if I'm playing football and I kick a ball through the window, it means I would smash the glass and the ball would go from one side of the window, it would break the window, and it would come out the other side. So through is a preposition we use to describe something going from one place to another. If there's any questions, please do write them on the chat. It's a very difficult concept. It's correct to say the girl jumped through the gate if she broke it, perhaps. I think I like Dilly's answer the best. The girl jumped over the gate. So she didn't jump on it or onto the gate. She jumped over the gate. It would be more correct to say the girl jumped on a horse. The girl jumped onto a horse because she's not going over the horse. It's the action of her climbing onto it. So I'm going to scroll down and see if there are any questions. No? Okay. If any of you do struggle to understand, please do ask. I'm going to write another question here. So the next sentence is we drove the tunnel. What do you think the answer could be here? So we need to write a preposition in this space to complete the sentence. And Sam, your question here is the girl jumped above the gate, which is in the air for a sustained period of time. For example, the plane flies above France. The UFO is flying above us. It's an action which is consistent, okay? The girl is going to come down. She's not in the air for a long time. If she's flying, if she has a jetpack and she's up in the sky for a long period of time, it's okay to say the girl is above us. So let's have a look at some of the questions. We drove under the tunnel. So Aline, this is a very interesting answer you've given. It is unfortunately incorrect. We normally give one specific preposition for driving with a tunnel. Let's talk about some other answers. So I see that the majority of you have written through. If we're talking about driving into a tunnel, we say we drive through the tunnel. I just mentioned now the action of driving into a tunnel. That's when you go from outside at the entrance of the tunnel to when you just pass into the tunnel. It's a lot of vocabulary to take in today. I hope everyone is following and you're picking up something new. Again, if you have any questions, please do ask, or if you don't understand. Liliana, I apologize. I don't understand your question. If you could write that for me again, I'd be happy to answer it. Okay, so another prepositional phrase we use quite regularly, or some words more specifically, are at, in, and on. Last time we spoke about this in relation to time. If we're talking about a specific time, we can say the lesson is at 3 p.m. It's very specific. If we're using on for times and occasions, we say on Monday we have a lesson. We normally use on for the day. And when we talk about in, we talk about a long period of time. We will have lessons in March, in April. So I would like to extend this further and talk about locations, perhaps on a map. We've spoken a lot about people going on vacation or even going on business trips abroad. These preposition words are really important if you want to help find your way around a city or a town. So if I think of an example to write down, again, I will write a sentence like before, and I would like you to try and write down the correct preposition. You have a choice of 3, at, in, or on. So if you don't know the answer, you can have a guess and try to get involved. It's really good that you're practicing at the same time. So, my house is France. Would I say in English, my house is at France, my house is in France, or my house is on France? What would I say? So fantastic. Looking at all the answers, you understand very clearly that we need to say, my house is in France. Just like for the time scenarios, we talked about long, big periods of time as in. For example, in summer, I will play football. In the winter, I will go to see my family. These are big periods of time. In regards to a location, it's a big country, France, of course. We can also use in for cities and arrondissements. Okay, so I could also say my house is in Paris. We also use it for cities because they're very large spaces too. My house is in the 5th arrondissement. Okay, because these are large areas. For the next sentence here that I write down, again, I'd like you to pick which preposition you think is most appropriate, and I will help explain why. So, I live I live at, on, or in Bakery Street. So this is a road now we're talking about. Often, if you're attending a meeting, or you're seeing a friend, or you're seeing family, or you have a rendezvous, it's really important that you learn how to communicate addresses and that you understand them. So let's have a look at some of your answers. So the majority of you have written on, which is fantastic, and that is correct. If we're talking about streets, the correct preposition is on, okay? We are in Paris, in the arrondissement, but again, we say on a street because it's slightly more specific. There are many houses, there are many shops on a street, but it's correct to say, I live on this street. You also say, the cinema is on the street 79 Champs-Élysées. My friend lives on the boulevard de Champs. Okay, so whenever we talk about streets, we always use the preposition on. So if you're learning this for the first time, it's very difficult. Please don't be disheartened. It's a lot of information, this lesson. But the aim is to try and learn something. So hopefully, if you've made a mistake, you've learned something in the process. And of course, the last preposition we're missing out is at. If we use at for locations, just like the time, the example I gave before was this lesson starts at 3 p.m. Very specific. It's the same with an address. So I could say, I live at 54 Avenue. Okay, it's the exact address. It gives the name of the house. If I gave this piece of information to someone, they would know exactly where I live. Okay, so when we talk about specific addresses to the point of a number, we say at. So I hope that's clearer for those of you. Okay, we also use these kind of prepositions in normal sentences. I would like to give you a quick example. This sentence here, the car is fire. We also use prepositions to link two parts of a sentence. I'm showing and explaining this to show you the applications for prepositions and how regularly we use them. We could probably do another lesson on prepositions to explain fully the extent of how and where they are used, but I want to show you all how important they are in English. So let's have a look. Fantastic. The car is on fire. Okay, so we use the preposition on to link the two parts of the sentence. Let's try with another example. Okay, I think this is perfect. She's interested in science. So again, we need to use one of the prepositions at, on, or in. How would you describe this interest? Okay, so already we have some different answers. I'll wait for a couple more, but I hope at the end of this lesson you understand, or you have a better understanding of how to use the prepositions. If I look at the responses, you are correct. Fantastic. We have an interest in something. I am interested in music. I'm interested in photography. I have an interest in teaching as well, of course. So I think all of you have a really good knowledge of how to use these prepositions in sentences. So I think I've primarily talked about everything I wanted to today. We spoke about prepositions as being an explanation for certain objects in your room. We covered the basics between, on, in, behind. We talked about how to use prepositions in relation to an address, and we recapped prepositions in relation to time. And it's also important to be aware that prepositions are also used to help link two parts of a sentence. For example, the two sentences I just wrote here. Again, if there are any questions, please do write it in the chat below. But that is what I wanted to cover today. And I hope you all have learned something. If you have any questions, please do ask or in the next lesson. I hope you all have a lovely evening and afternoon. If you haven't, please do subscribe to our channel and you will get reminders as to when our free lessons are. And there is also a link here to find out how you can get free one-to-one lessons with CPF. I hope you have a nice day, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today. Bye.